Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be invited to this conference on Heydər Əliyev and the new oil strategy of Azerbaijan, a conference in our honor of Oil Workers' Day within the year of Heydər Əliyev. I must compliment Lord Brown's fantastic speech, and I must admit, I wish the alliance still existed. Then I could have been a part of it. Thank you. As my contribution to this conference, I will share with you some of the relevant observations I made during the 7 years as Equinor's president in Azerbaijan. Statoil offered me this position during the fall of 1993. By coincidence, this was about the same time as Heydər Əliyev took over Azerbaijan's leadership and was elected president of the country. At this time, a group of Western oil companies were negotiating a PSA for the ACG fields. The negotiations did not progress as wanted. Great hope and expectations were therefore attached to the involvement of the new president. However, no quick fixes were in sight. When we gathered to listen to the president's speech at the first Baku oil exhibition in the early summer of 1994, the PSA negotiations were still ongoing. Some of the negotiating parties were even starting to lose hope. Suddenly things started moving, and a date was set for signing, the 20th of September. This day, 29 years ago, top manager of 11 leading oil and gas companies gathered in Baku to sign one of the most important PSAs ever entered into in the world. The PSA describes the full commercial framework for the contract. Further, it contains the strategic frame for developing Azerbaijan's hydrocarbon resources. Important things such as create regional stability, development plans should be based on full field scope. There should be a maximum use of Azerbaijani infrastructure, drilling and construction facilities, and contracts should allow for efficient integration of Azerbaijani and international technology and know-how. To deliver such projects within the framework, a high level of cooperation of all parties were required. Equinor's way to work to Azerbaijani requirements was to show how Norway had developed their oil and gas sector. To cooperate with an industry with more than 150 years operating history is very difficult when you only have 35 years history yourself. But open communication, building of trust, and presenting things so that Azerbaijan could pick what was relevant and leave out what was not relevant helped the communication and made it a great success. President Aliyev's foreign politics were very active. He kept contact with many of the world's leaders. This included some Norwegian. Jens Stoltenberg, now Secretary of NATO, was Minister of Oil and Energy in 93 to 96. He accepted several invitations by the President to take part in the Baku oil and gas exhibitions. The young minister, he was 34 at the time, enjoyed his visits to Baku. The two people seemed to have developed an excellent relationship. And following one of the visits of Mr. Stoltenberg, President Aliyev commented to the Norwegian ambassador that I believe that Mr. Stoltenberg would become Prime Minister in Norway one day, and it was proven right in 2000. Late 1995, Prime Minister Gro Harlem Brundtland invited President Heydər Əliyev for an official visit to Norway. In April '96, he visited Oslo and Stavanger. During his visit, the President met with King Harald V, leading representatives of the government and Parliament, such as Speaker of Parliament, Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Oil and Energy, of course Jens Stoltenberg, whom he already knew. All the meetings were very successful, and I dare say that knowledge of Azerbaijan increased significantly as a result of his visit. During the visit, an agreement on friendship and partnership between Azerbaijan and Norway were signed. The most important results of this agreement was sharing of information of all aspects of the Norwegian oil fund. I remember when I went with a 14 people representation from Azerbaijan to meet with the Ministry of Finance, the Norwegian Central Bank, and the Oil Ministry in Norway. They were taught everything that Norway knew about oil fund, and I believe part of that information has been used also here. Further, we saw gas coming, so one of the things our government proposed to Azerbaijan was we should make a gas master plan, and we did that in the late 90s. We had many meetings related to oil legislation and also the working of the body that masters this in Norway, the Norwegian Petroleum Directorate. And last but not least, we had several joint studies to evaluate enhanced oil production potential of selected Azerbaijani fields. The President's visit to Norway also contained an in-depth presentation of the Norwegian oil and gas sector. He met with Harald Norvik, President of Equinor, and discussed the company's worldwide activity and its future plans in Azerbaijan. Norvik had planned an offshore visit to the Sleipner platform complex for the delegation. And the first picture you see when you enter the picture exhibition downstairs, that is taken on Sleipner platform in 1996, when the President is dressed up in the survival suit that they were laughing about when they visited. The offshore visit gave the President and the delegation a realistic appraise of the Norwegian platform design, construction, and operations. They also inspected equipment, operation, and maintenance procedures, and last but not least, the platform safety management systems. The following day, the most important Norwegian engineering, supply, and construction companies had been invited for a meeting with the Azerbaijani delegation. In an extensive speech, the President informed the Norwegian business representatives about the present and future business opportunity he saw in his country. The Norwegian company reps were allowed to give short briefings and of their expertise and products. The meeting lasted way longer than planned, as many questions and answer sequences developed. I believe that the visit was a great success, as more companies paid visits to Baku and Norwegian politicians requested information for further visits. In June 1996, the President took another bold step in progressing the oil and gas sector of Azerbaijan. A group of leading companies was invited to sign the Shah-Deniz PSA. This strategic move, followed by discovery of large quantities of gas and condensate, has put Azerbaijan in position to become an important player in the European gas market. When you look at President Aliyev led the country for 10 years. At the end of this period, Azerbaijan could look back on an impressive series of successes. I'll mention a few, and most important in my view. Chirag started production within 3 years of ratification of a PSA. That is extraordinary by all measures. Baku-Novorossiysk pipeline was in operation. Baku-Supsa pipeline was in operation. Azeri field was under development, and Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline was under construction. Further, Azerbaijan had entered into gas sales contract with Georgia and Turkey, and Shahini first phase had started construction, and the same for the South Caucasus pipeline was started. When you think about that lot of activity generated in such a short time, it's impressive by all measures. Some concluding remarks. By looking around Baku and Azerbaijan, it's very visible that the directions that were set during Heydər Əliyev's presidential time has been completed and further expanded. It is, again, very impressive activity by the whole Azerbaijani industry. In the future, new knowledge may require changes to well-proven technologies and practices in our industry. I trust that the oldest oil and gas country in the world will have the technology and competence to overcome such new challenges. This will allow Azerbaijan to stay in the forefront amongst oil and gas producing countries. Thank you for allowing me to share with you some of my memories and observations from a time period that still matters to me. Thank you.